Emmerdale star Chris Coghill has teased that newcomer Steve could threaten Kev's growing bond with Lewis. The new arrival is played by former Waterloo Road actor Jason Dunn and may derail Kev's efforts to rebuild his life. Kev Townsend's latest return to the village has been anything but quiet. However, in next week's episodes, the reformed criminal-turned-baker wants to leave the drama behind and concentrate on strengthening his relationship with his long-lost son, Lewis Barton. Viewers will remember that after a bizarre kidnapping involving a dead cat, Kev finally confessed to Lewis that he was his biological father. In an unforgettable moment, he revealed the truth while nervously singing Boyzone's Father and Son. Now, Kev is determined to earn Lewis's trust. Chris Coghill explained that working at the village cafe could provide the perfect opportunity for Kev to repair their fractured relationship. According to the actor, Kev sees the job as a way to spend time with Lewis every day while becoming a more permanent part of village life, having decided that he wants to stay. Earlier episodes showed Lewis offering his father a position at the cafe. The decision upset co-owner Nicola, and after a disagreement involving Mandy, Kev ended up losing the job. Next week, he asks for another chance because he believes the cafe is the best place to reconnect with his son. Kev also feels he was treated unfairly, insisting he was simply trying to ensure Mandy paid for her coffees. Lewis is not the only person Kev hopes to impress. After recent clashes with Nicola over what is best for Lewis, Kev is eager to improve their relationship. Chris explained that Kev respects Nicola's determination to protect Lewis, even if she clearly wants him out of the picture. At the same time, Kev cannot resist trying to win her approval, despite admitting that parking his van directly outside the cafe was a deliberately provocative move. Another important friendship Kev has formed is with Claudette Anderson, who has supported the former prisoner since he first arrived in the village in September 2025. Since Kev's return last month, Claudette has continued to offer advice about repairing his relationship with Lewis. Chris hopes the friendship between the two characters will continue to develop in future episodes. The actor suggested that Kev's difficult upbringing helps explain why he values Claudette's support so much. Although Kev grew up without his father and experienced an unstable childhood, Claudette has become a dependable source of encouragement. Chris joked that Kev has almost become her favorite son, even when her own son is around. As Lewis prepares to celebrate another birthday, Kev becomes determined to make up for all the celebrations he missed over the years. His enthusiasm, however, may be overshadowed by the arrival of a mysterious newcomer. Chris revealed that Kev feels guilty for missing Lewis's first 22 birthdays, so he throws himself into planning an unforgettable 24th birthday celebration. Although his intentions are heartfelt, everything begins to unravel when Steve unexpectedly interferes. Very little has been revealed about Steve, but Chris hinted that the newcomer could undo much of the progress Kev has made. He described Steve and Kev as two men with very similar backgrounds, explaining that Steve represents the version of Kev that existed before he discovered Lewis. The pair grew up together and once shared an extremely close friendship. Without Lewis in his life, Kev believes he would have slipped straight back into his old habits alongside Steve. From Steve's perspective, nothing has changed, and he expects the two of them to return to their former lifestyle as partners in crime, despite spending years apart. Chris also suggested that Steve's return could tempt Kev back toward his criminal past. He explained that their friendship naturally falls back into familiar patterns, even though Kev is doing everything he can to avoid repeating the mistakes he has worked so hard to leave behind. Emmerdale's Chris Coghill says Kev is deeply conflicted as someone from his past arrives. Emmerdale star Chris Coghill has revealed that Kev will face a major internal struggle when an old friend unexpectedly arrives in the village. Kev Townsend first appeared on the ITV soap while searching for his secret prison husband, Robert Sugden. Fans will remember that Robert ultimately chose Aaron Dingle instead, bringing Kev's original storyline to an end. However, the character later returned after it was revealed that he was the biological father of Lewis Barton. Kev recently made his way back to the village after Ross Barton tracked him down, discovering him selling his well-known lemon drizzle cake from a roadside van. Ross convinced Kev to help rescue Lewis after he was abducted by Kev's former partner Kylie, who carried out the kidnapping as an act of revenge. Although Ross warned him not to complicate matters, Kev decided it was finally time to tell Lewis the truth about his parentage. In an emotional and unexpected moment, Kev broke into his own version of Boyzone's father and son before revealing that he was Lewis's father, leaving both Lewis and Vinny stunned by the unexpected confession. Since then, Kev has been doing everything he can to build a relationship with Lewis. He hopes to prove that he can become the father Lewis deserves while putting his troubled past behind him. Not everyone believes he deserves that opportunity, however. Nicola King and Ross Barton have both tried to keep Kev away from Lewis, fearing that he will only end up hurting him. Their concerns even led them to stage a robbery at the cafe in an attempt to frame Kev. Despite his repeated claims of innocence, the incident pushed Lewis to tell him that he no longer wanted someone like him in his life. In next week's episodes, Claudette encourages Kev not to walk away from his job at the cafe. Nicola, pleased by the idea that he has quit, tries to persuade Vinny, Mandy and Lewis that his departure is for the best. Her plans are disrupted when Kev unexpectedly returns and asks for his job back. After discovering that Lewis's birthday is approaching, Kev becomes determined to make up for the years he missed. His enthusiastic attempts to spoil Lewis with gifts, however, leave his son feeling uncomfortable, increasing Ross's worries about the situation. Kev's problems become even greater when his old friend Steve suddenly arrives in the village. Realizing the danger Steve represents, Kev immediately warns him not to interfere with the new life he is trying to build. Speaking in an interview with the Manchester Evening News, Chris explained that working at the cafe is about far more than earning a living. He said the job gives Kev the chance to spend time with Lewis every day while helping him become part of the village community, as he has decided he wants to stay for good. Discussing Steve's arrival, Chris described the pair as remarkably similar, explaining that Steve represents the person Kev used to be before discovering he had a son. The two men grew up together and once shared a close friendship built around their criminal lifestyle. According to Chris, if Lewis had never entered Kev's life, he would probably have slipped back into his old habits without hesitation. Steve still expects everything to be exactly as it was before, believing the two of them can simply reunite and return to committing crimes together despite years apart. Chris added that their friendship naturally falls back into old routines, but Kev is determined to resist those temptations. That is why Steve's arrival comes at the worst possible time, just as Kev is beginning to form a genuine connection with Lewis. When asked whether Kev could eventually be drawn back into a life of crime, Chris admitted that the character fights hard against the temptation, but remains deeply conflicted. He also hinted that Steve's arrival will create problems for several other villagers. Emmerdale airs on weekday evenings at 8 p.m. on ITV1, with new episodes available to stream from 7 a.m. on ITVX and YouTube.